I want to talk about the law of attraction. It's so fascinating. It's incredible. For those of you that have experienced and have looked into or contemplated the law of attraction or tested it or used it or whatnot, then this may resonate with you. I'm starting to realize with the law of attraction, especially in the last year and a half or so, and recently I've gotten some clear revelations of just how complex the law of attraction is, which actually makes sense, because as humans we tend to oversimplify a lot of things. Our understanding of ourselves, our understanding of our situation, our understanding of the universe. Even when we try to look at spirituality, we often put it in a more simplistic, platform that we can comprehend, because, let's face it, although the realist, the consciousness understands, our minds, as powerful as they are, it's a lot to take in of how all of this is working in the universe. It's so complex. The human body, this planet, all the life forms on it, the cycles, the universe, everything. There's just so much. It's so, and of course we make it more complicated too with our human society. But everything in general is just, it's of course beyond what we can comprehend right now, at least intellectually. So with the law of attraction, of course, and it's understandable, a lot of the teachings, a lot of the approaches, a lot of the understandings are of a more simplistic nature, and I include myself in that category. When I first started to embrace the law of attraction and then kind of try to wield it, try to observe it, it's exciting at first when you start to see things manifest that you wanted, and then you start to see things you didn't want. What I'm starting to really see, and again, it's understandable knowing how complex, obviously, the universe is, and yet may be simple, who knows, but I'm starting to really see in the last year and a half just how complex it is, and how there's not a lot of people talking about multiple signals or vibrations. And this is what I'm really starting to see with myself. I started to see, especially as I got really passionate about trying to, attract certain things, I started to see that I absolutely attracted 100%. It's amazing. However, I started to see that I was also attracting exactly what I didn't want. And it started to become clear it was because while I was going going through certain things and, pain and stress and just, the things we humans go through, the challenges that we face and often create ourselves. So as I was going through that, I was on a clear mission to put out what I actually wanted. But being humans, everything is transitional. Nothing happens overnight. So what happened with me, and maybe this resonates with you, what we will do is we'll put out a signal for what we want really passionately, and we'll get it very powerfully. But there's still a residue. There's still in between all that. We're thinking of the past, or we're thinking of what we don't want, or we're sending out a vibration of negative feelings or thoughts of things we don't want or that we've experienced in the past. And so then what we see is we get both. And so I guess it really depends on how many vibrations. Some people are really, I'm not that by nature, but I am, like everybody, I go up and down a little bit, especially as I'm trying to find myself and deal with things. Some people, I'm starting to have even more compassion than I did before for people that are really kind of lost and up and down, and people that are really complex their minds and really don't know what they want. I really feel for them because I can understand, because I'm basically sending out two signals, one very intentional and one unintentional, and I'm seeing what it's bringing me. I can only imagine people living in those states sending out so many different signals and vibrations. It would make sense why some people's lives just seem to be and they seem to be because it's like one's feeding the other, right? They're sending out all these things from the past of what they don't want, and sending all these things they do want, and they can't figure even out what they want, so they're sending all these things that change. And so they're getting all these things, and then it overwhelms them, and it kind of just perpetuates them, right? And then so again, for me, it really does reinforce, for me anyways, the seeking, the dangers in seeking. There's nothing wrong with wanting things, but I think deep down, I know deep down, that our true selves, it's already established what we want. So we don't have to wish and put power towards it. All we really have to do, so it kind of goes back to teachings such as Abraham Hicks, which they're wonderful, and she's wonderful, and a lot of people embrace it. And then some people think it's over-sensationalized, oversimplified with the concept of just get in the vortex. But coming from what we're talking about now, that actually starts to see even more profoundly simple. Because if we just stop seeking and just stay and just feel appreciation for what we have, and keep it simple, and just rejoice and feel abundant, because we are all abundant, all of us, no matter what the situation, in one way or another, we're abundant. Now, I know some people are in some terrible situations, so some are more abundant than others. Hey, Poochie, how you doing? You being a good boy? You being a good boy? Yeah? You being a good boy?
Hi there.
Hi, how are you? Beautiful dogs.
Yeah, thank you. On the street they'd be friendlier, but you can kind of compete
They're
against some pretty interesting stuff here.
I totally understand. There's a million
You
things.
could grow a tail and run around, they'd be all over you.
I hear you. So once you start to see that we're sending out, some of us are sending out multiple signals, some are sending out just tons of signals. You can see, how actually quite profound the whole get into the vortex and just get that feeling and everything else will come. Because deep down we don't need to keep spelling out what we want. We know what we want for the most part. Even though our minds may not know, we know. I mean, you know what I mean? Something knows. So again, it kind of lends into, for me anyways, but I think some other people might resonate with this, that it might be better just to keep continuing to build the feeling that we want. And the details will fall in, and don't worry about the details. Don't get trapped in the mind, and don't get trapped in seeking. You don't need to seek what we want, because what we want is what we want. You don't need to dwell on it. And obviously you want to be careful of going back and building that feeling, being outside of the vortex, of things you don't want. So it's really fascinating. And so one's instinct might be to try to manipulate this, right? But that's getting up in the mind. And who can play that game, right? Because, we're going through all these transitional things. So for me, I'm sending out two signals, and I'm getting mostly what I want, but I'm also getting what I don't want. And yes, I could say, okay, well, I'm just going to focus more on exactly what I want, not want, and try to do it with the mind. But that just applies more pressure. That just takes us up into the dangerous game of the mind. And it's getting too deep into a game of seeking, which I don't think, for me anyways, that's not the point. It's not what I want to do. I just want to be, and if I'm too concentrated on trying to manipulate and create exactly what I want, then again, I'm really just missing out on what I already have, like sitting on this gorgeous log with this wind blowing and being able to share with people. So yeah, I just wanted to share that I'm really starting to see just how complex it is. And being so complex, the answer for me is to simplify, get back to what I was doing, which is being present, being less in the mind, just being in appreciation and building that feeling, the true feeling that's always there, that consciousness of just observing and not getting tied into all of this incredible, crazy game, and staying in that place I like to call home, but still enjoy and allow and accept all that's happening. And so that's what I'm trying to do, and that's recently, it's funny because this summer I've been really getting more present, being able to be present longer and more often and less in the mind. And I've been building that feeling more, staying in that feeling more without getting pulled out. And the more I've been doing that, I've been attracting opportunities to do that. But because there's still a residue of seeking certain things, which is really, because it's seeking, it's kind of a negative, very subtle. Because of that, I'm not getting a lot of that back because it's on a much smaller level. But when I am getting it recently, I'm noticing that I'm really getting, it's really testing. The universe really knows what it's doing, or I should say, the inner us that attracts, whatever it is that's doing this law of attraction, doing all this creating. It really is working on a complex level that we can't really understand, I think, and manipulate. We can manipulate it a bit, but we're kind of like children. We're kind of like 2-year-olds messing around with the engine of an airplane. We might start to kind of figure out how it works, and we might even start to get it to work a certain way we want, But you know, there's so much we're not going to understand, at least right now. So we're going to have ups and downs and pitfalls, and eventually, yeah, we will learn it, right? Even if you take kids, give them long enough, a group of kids or whatever, they'll probably figure it out and master it. But because they really don't know what they're doing, they're kind of just learning as they go. You know, certain things are going to happen to that plane, and certain pitfalls, certain things are going to test them to quit and stop what they're doing. Test them to see if do they really want to be working on this engine of this airplane. I know this is an odd analogy, but so that's how I kind of see it. It's like we're mucking in things as we start to open up, which is great. A lot of us, though, we're mucking in areas that we don't quite understand, and that's fine. So I guess I would say is just understand, maybe open up to understanding that it's much more complex than you're ever going to figure out. And maybe it's best not to try to get too for lack of a better word, obsessed with trying to figure out and manipulate the results. And instead, just understand that generally what is going on, that it is complex, that we are attracting things, and more concentrate on just being in that place that feels right, that feels home, that feels this is what I want, and just trust that the rest will come. And that when sometimes it doesn't, just understand that it could be that in between we've had little slips or little times where we sent out another signal, and that's what we've got. And that it also, in my case especially, because what I really want is to be able to remain present and not get so pulled into other people's stories. And I can help them so much more that way too, because I really do. I am connected. I don't want to be cut off from people. But I also don't want to be pulled in, and who does, to the point where I lose myself. And so because that's also an underlining, and that's a form of seeking, it's being tested occasionally. And tested really, but what's lovely about it is it's not often, because the general signal is the other signal. So it's been an amazing summer. But I've had little bouts, and especially recently, where I've had real wake-up calls, I guess, where the other signal has brought me what I wanted. I want to remain present, so I've gotten the most perfect opportunities to test and to perfect opportunities to be pulled in, and the opportunities to stay present. But of course, for that to be the perfect test, they're going to be extreme. So maybe keep that in mind too. Maybe try to look at it as, if this helps you. I mean, if not, throw it away. But if any of this is resonating, and you might want to consider what I'm trying to do and going to do, and what I think I've figured out from this, and that is that just to accept that yes, it's working on a much more complex level. And also, related to the complex level, we also tend to forget that we're putting out intentions, but so are billions of other people. So we're sending out signals, but billions of other people are too. So that just shows you, but things are manifesting. So, it's like a puzzle, right? This person's, putting out these signals and this signal, and we're being shuffled around and crossing each other's paths because of what we're doing. And so keep that in mind, that it's not just this simple, I just want this kind of person or this kind of life or this kind of situation. I'll just keep focusing on it, it'll come. You're probably sending out multiple signals, And that's also going to correspond to multiple signals that other people are sending out, what they want, what they don't want. Um, so that's another factor of why it's so complex. It's not just you're not the only one in the game. You know, I'm not the only one in the game. So it's good to remember that. So yeah, that it's complex, but that's okay. And then that maybe we don't need to, maybe we should focus too much on that part of the game, for lack of a better word. Because again, it brings us up in the mind and we know what happens then. And just be aware of it, and try to be aware of it when it comes, and accept it, and then we see them more as opportunities if we're seeing it from that point. Because with these tests that I've had lately, I could easily slip into old habits and see it as, oh, I've gotten what I didn't want. Oh, you know, and I do feel that a little bit. Part of me, you know, started to feel, oh, damn it. You know, this again, right? Well, there's a reason, because one of the things I want is to be able to rise above it, and obviously there's still a residue that still holds on to that, you know, onto the past a little bit. So instead, see it as an opportunity that I have attracted, and just be happy that everything's working as it should. So if I was to not see it that way and dwell on that I've once again attracted things that don't feel good, then I'm not feeling good, and so what's going to happen? I'm going to keep attracting what I want, don't want. So maybe just keeping that in mind, but also not take it too seriously, and more just concentrate on the feeling. I think that's the big thing. And that's really what they're talking about, Abraham Hicks was talking about with the vortex. He's talking about create the feeling first and the rest will follow. Just keep creating that feeling. And not just the feeling of this is what I want, not just in the brain, but just the feeling. And so by being present, you can do that, because when you're present, when you're in the now, when you're in the moment, when you let the mind go, you are in a state of complete appreciation. You appreciate everything. You appreciate everything. You appreciate, you know, appreciating your meals. You're appreciating people around you. You're appreciating the air, the nature. You're just appreciating. You're feeling abundant, because you're feeling abundant when you're present. Then things come. So basically, that's what I'm going to keep trying to do. And if this resonates with you, try it out with me, you know, let's see what happens. Let's try, yes, understanding that first, it's the law of attraction, our ability to create and attract is real, obviously, and yet that it's way more complicated than we really realize, and that a good approach, it's worth a try, would be to just, again, go back to the simplest thing, which is just be present. Clear the mind. Don't be trapped in your mind. Don't be seeking in your mind. We all know truly what gives us that joy, that feeling. So just hold on to that feeling. Clear the mind, be present, be grateful, feel abundant, joyous, and let it come. And then you're also more in the state, being present, of the observer, so when still you attract certain things and you're tested or opportunities arise that are challenging to help you grow, because you're more in the place of the observer, you're less likely to be so emotionally disappointed or misconstruing what you're attracting and perpetuating again the same thing. So it really sheds a light on too why so many of us in our lives, we just keep, even when we seem to open up to other things and become more spiritual, we're still quite often It just seems we keep attracting the same things. We keep spinning in circles. But it's because it's the feeling we keep grabbing onto, and the negative feelings, and creating them with our minds, with our egos. So yeah, it all kind of ties in, doesn't it? Being present, seeking. It's rare people, tie in the Buddhist teachings of being present and the consciousness and the observer with law of attraction. Occasionally you hear some crisscross, but you don't a lot. But I see connections with it all. That's why I think there's truth in everything. And so in this context, you can really see how there really is a close, they really do go hand in hand. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. There's a reason for hundreds of thousands of years men and women have gone off into temples and whatnot, and kind of walked out of their lives and tried to find this peaceful presence and clearing of the mind and concentrate on the consciousness and what are we. There's a reason that's still around today, and there's a reason for it. And there's a reason now so much of the law of attraction has come to light, because of all the sharing and because of just where we are now. And so if you look at the two, they do go hand in hand. We are creating, we are attracting, there's no doubt in that. Even with the hologram, it all ties in, attracting. What are we doing? We're pulling from some kind of holographic library. So it all ties in, and that's good. It's good to keep that in mind too. There's a bit of truth in everything. It's all valid. And so they do start to fit together the more you open up to that they can fit together. And so definitely with being present in the law of attraction, I really see now how they're hand in hand, I think. Because yes, we create, yes, we attract, but it's much more complicated when we send more than one signal. And so that's actually what we get. We get our complex signals and vibrations we're sending out is what we're getting back. And as we start to get more balance, if we try to get in that peaceful place, a quiet place, not of the mind, where we feel present and abundant, and we just feel like love, then more and more that's what we'll get. And we'll still get some of the other, we'll still attract, because we're human in this world, complex world, but we'll be less likely as time goes on to be pulled into that. We'll be less likely to start getting up in the mind and seeking. And when these multiple signals or challenges come in, because we're more in a stable place of the observer, we can more see it from that point of view without emotionally getting pulled back into old dramas, old stories. So I would definitely say those of you that are really into the law of attraction, just the law of attraction, and mostly the law of attraction, that's the bulk of what you put your energy towards, I really recommend looking into the teachings of, say, Leonard Jacobson, Muji, or any other of the Buddhist type teachings, anything that teaches about being present, about clearing the mind, being present, whether it's through meditation or nature, whatever, and clearing your mind and embracing that, because that will come hand in hand. It might, I think it really will be, for me, we'll see, but I think it really will be a great tool and way to approach the law of attraction. And again, that's what I think Abraham Hicks is talking about with the vortex. Just get in that feeling. Don't worry about all the details. If that's what you feel, that's what you'll get. So yeah, if you're into the law of attraction, great. But maybe try less trying to control the pieces of the puzzle and just concentrate on the feeling that you want to feel. And the details will come. The details that create that feeling will come. So same thing, if you're just into being present, if you're one of the people that are more just into Buddhist teachings, you might want to also keep in mind that that's well and good, and that's, I think, the ultimate goal. However, keep in mind that you are living here, experiencing things for a reason. We're here to enjoy these things. We are here to enjoy the abundance, the contrast. And so to keep in mind that regardless, we are creating and we are attracting. So basically, if you're on one side or the other, I highly recommend kind of embracing both. They do go hand in hand. Just about everything goes hand in hand. It starts to fall into place over time. It is for me anyways. So it's a bit of a long rant. But yeah, so enjoy the fun, enjoy your life. Get out in nature, do things that you enjoy. Try not to get up in the mind, try not to worry, try not to concentrate on seeking in the mind, because you know what you want, so you don't need to. you're not, I think, at least for me, you're not helping yourself by doing that. You're going to get what you want. Just concentrate on the feeling. Get that feeling and hold it in there. In here, not in here. And then, yeah, just quiet it all down, simplify it down, enjoy. There's so much to enjoy that we miss. And this is what you get when you're present. We all do it. Every day we walk by and we miss the bee pollinating the plant and the bird doing a silly chirp and dance over by the water. We miss an interaction that could have happened with somebody who stopped to talk to us because we missed it. We miss so much. So we're always wanting, and yet actually just about everybody in every situation, I mean some more than others, but really just on this planet in general, it's just an abundance of experience and entertainment and lessons and learning in the most simple of situations, and we just miss it all day long. We miss that breeze. A lot of people would be here right now and they'd be missing this breeze. I'm reveling in this breeze. A lot of people would not come over and sit on this log, etc., etc. And what more can you ask? Other than that, just enjoy the ride.